On this episode of 427 Motorsports, I'm going to have an unscripted rant about something in the car industry today that needs to be fixed before something fatal happens. This is a rant about daytime running lights and dashboard lights. Okay, so what is the problem here? The problem is that modern cars these days have these running lights on the front called daytime running lights, and when you turn the key on, they're always on, combined with a dashboard that's usually a screen, which means as soon as you turn the key on, the screen lights up. And the issue here is people that have been driving for many years, and in some cases not very many years, they just assume their lights are on. They get into the car, pitch black, the daytime running lights come on, they can see a little bit in front, so they assume their full lights are on. And annoyingly, this happens way more often than you think. But the problem is, yes, you may have a light on at the front, and yes, you may be visible. You probably can't see very far, but you're visible. But the problem is, on the back of the car, it is pitch black. 2 times in one trip, I was in the city, driving up, and I genuinely could not see the car in front of me because it was pitch black. I know I said it was in a city, there were no streetlights at this point. It was pitch black until I was right up their holes. I didn't even know they were there. Yes, there was a bit of a reflection of the number plate, but that's not the point. The issue here is that you aren't very visible from the front, you're completely invisible from the rear, and in the interior, you're completely oblivious. So why has this become a problem? Well, not to wax lyrical about older cars or anything, but back in the day, when you got into an older car, if it was dark outside, you couldn't see shit. If you were sitting in the interior, you couldn't see a thing. Your dashboard that told you vitals like your speed, your revs, the time, stuff like that, would have been completely invisible when you got into an older car, until you turned the headlights on, or side lights, which would have lit up the dash. But it was a visual prompt to remind you that you had to turn your lights on. The issue now is that as soon as you get into the car, it's already lit up when you get in. The screen on the dash is already lit up. Yes, there's a tiny little green jellyfish looking thing in there to say, oh, your side lights are on. But for the most part, people do not know. Now, some cars do have automatic headlights, and if you're in the States and all that, I think it's a lot more common. But over here, it's still not really commonplace. And automatic headlights, or at least the ones I've experienced, aren't that great either. If it's raining or if it's in terrible conditions, they don't always see that as being a condition that you need to turn the lights on. And the problem is, more and more people aren't realizing their lights aren't on. Which means you could be driving down a motorway or a highway and will have no lights whatsoever, and somebody coming along at 70 miles per hour, maybe more, will not have a clue you're there. Now, right now, I'm not totally sure about what legal laws and things there are in place to combat this, but manufacturers need to do something about this as soon as possible, because this is dangerous. If this isn't sorted soon, people are going to wind up being killed. I know people like to complain about headlights in modern cars being too bright and blinding everybody, but the problem that people aren't really talking about is when the lights aren't on at all when they should be. Now, this isn't a new issue. Now, I noticed this when my parents got a Ford Fiesta Mark 7, I think it was, but the facelift one, which would have been early 2010s, and the amount of times that my parents would have got into the car and done this exact same thing until I told them off, tells me that this problem has been going on for a long time. Now, the cars that I seen doing this were fresh, I mean possibly even brand new, and they were still not automatically putting on brake lights or tail lights or whatever you want to call them. Now, I know this is a short video, but I needed to rant about this because twice in one trip I nearly crashed into somebody because they had no lights on whatsoever. If it wasn't for my, not to brag, but rather good reactions, God knows what could have happened. So please, car manufacturers, fix this problem before it is too late. I'm Tomo, this is 427 Motorsports, this has been a rant. Thanks for watching, good luck.